welcome back to. Anyway, just kidding. Welcome back to Friends Are Weird, your place for weird news and even weirder friends. I'm Joey.
And I'm Stone.
Stone, we've been away for a little bit.
That we have, my friend. That we have. But we're back. I figured that there's just no news happening in the world at all. I get all of my news from Carrier Crow, and
Yeah.
they just haven't been arriving. So I figured that there's nothing going on in the world. But oh boy, they finally showed up today, and I figured maybe we should do like an episode about what's going on in the world since it's been so long.
It has been so long, and I think before we get into it, it's probably a good idea for us to address the elephant in the room. I got a haircut, and I wanted to make sure that everybody was aware.
Which one did you get cut?
The but no, so the last we tried to record an episode about a month ago now, and I just want to say that you and I did the second single most patriotic thing that any American could do for their country. You and I took a friendship bullet for democracy. And I think maybe we'll play the clip here or something like that. But just know that the Weird Friends are good and we're back. We're not better than ever because we weren't that good to begin with. But I'm glad to be back with you, buddy.
I'm glad to be back with you too. And by the way, that was an incredible Biden impersonation there. Like for a second, I thought that we actually had a cameo guest, or that like he just randomly showed up on our podcast, because that's just what he does. He just kind of wanders into things these days. But yeah, so we're gonna take a little bit of a detour from our normal format and just talk politics. Like, there's just so much that has happened, and since you, our loyal viewers, are like that, since this is your only news source in the world, we're gonna fill you in on some of the wackiness that is our government, apparently.
I think it's best if we start with Biden, right? So to kind of recount what happened a month ago, you and I tried to record a debate special where we talked about Biden's lackluster performance and how maybe the DNC isn't making the best choice by letting him continue to be be the face of the Democrats. And so we got a little heated because we're both passionate Americans, but you were campaigning on the fact that he should drop out and maybe let Kamala Harris take place. And I was like, that's never going to happen. You're a crazy person. But here we are 4 weeks later, and it's happened, and I can't believe it.
Yeah, well, I mean, it turns out that Biden is kind of just an arrogant prick. Like, I mean, okay, performing badly at a debate is one thing. I mean, that was a train wreck. I mean, that guy had everyone questioning if he should even still be the president. And then a flood of information about him started coming out, like post the debate, and everyone's like, yeah, we all knew and we were all kind of worried, but I guess the cat's out of the bag, so we could like tell the truth about this Leslie Nielsen character that is currently the most powerful man in the world. But yeah, so it took the entire Democratic Party sucking his dick and acting like parents when their kids fall to get him to step down. Like, oh, we love you, Biden! We love you so much! But it is your time. Fucking go. Like, for him to finally concede that, yeah, you're not going to survive until November. And that's kind of what he was banking on, was surviving until the DNC event, so that he would be glued to the position and there's nothing that anyone could do about it. And people were rightfully kind of pissed, like myself among them. Like, no, you aren't the guy. And it is, I don't know, it's just kind of shitty how his whole attitude was like, no, I'm your papa. No one else can be. And God, it's like infuriating because the DNC, like all the House members of the Democratic Party, apparently got together and had a meeting. Like, so what the fuck are we gonna do about this guy? And they leaked to the press. Oh well, we cried about it. Like, okay, cool, thanks. Like, so you pretty much just lived up to the Republican talking points that you you are willing to give them your liberal tears, but like also be completely ineffectual when it comes to what obviously needs to be done. Like, it's kind of infuriating, in my opinion.
See, I agree with you on many points. I have a slightly different opinion of it, and maybe this is blind optimism, or maybe this is like trying to see the best. I think I do agree that there was definitely some arrogance, right? Like it was very obvious that Biden should step down and that it was time for especially like the younger generation to somebody younger and more charismatic to take over. I think, however, his timing was impeccable because the Republicans just spent millions and millions on their convention. They've spent millions and millions specifically campaigning just purely on the fact that he's old and that he no longer performs well. All of a sudden to have every and to pick JD Vance, who I know that we're going to talk about a little bit later, like this whole strategy was built on the fact that they thought Biden's arrogance was going to run true until November, and then he was like, just kidding, I'm out. Flip your entire strategy upside down. So I will say, although I share your anger in a lot of things, I got to give the man some props. Like that was some pretty
Well,
damn good timing if that was
oh,
intentional.
for sure. Like, okay, so I think that the DNC as a whole are far too incompetent to like have any kind of master plans like that. Like I really do think that they're just completely incapable of engineering this the way it worked out. But miraculously, so many factors just came together and they ended up failing upwards into the strong position that they are now. Like, don't tell the Harris campaign because I don't want them to do the same shit that Hillary did in 2016. But they are going to win this. Like don't let them know. Like because then they'll just not even try. But yeah, I don't know. Like Biden's whole thing of calling people Jack and talking about malarkey all the time, it only works to be endearing if your brain isn't like visibly running out of your onto your shirt on a daily basis.
Sure. Yeah.
And and I don't know, my opinion of everything that's happened, like it was miraculous. Like I love the position that the DNC's in now. Uh I feel like a lot of them have lost so much credibility. Like especially like the Biden cult of personality people that like there's that one I don't know if he's a senator or if he's in the House. He's some congressman who talks exactly like Cleveland from Family Guy, and like in a on the street interview with him, someone was like, "So, sir, what do you say to all the people that are claiming that Biden should step down?" And he just kept repeating, "I'm riding with Biden." Okay, but he's dead. I'm riding with Biden. Okay, but like he's medically brain dead at this point. Like, do you got anything to say about it? I'm riding with Biden? And he said it like 8 times. Like that is so infuriating. I hope he gets primaried next time, as most of the people that have just been acting like it's completely normal. Like it's not. We can't run with the dead guy. It's not weekend at the White House. It's fucking the
Yeah.
future of democracy on the line.
There there was definitely a layer of like gaslighting that was taking place, and I definitely agree with you there. And I think some of it was like you have to build a strategy, right? Like you have to make sure that if this is going to happen, it has to happen the correct way at the correct time. And it's funny, like you're talking about how like I don't think that there was like a master plan or whatever. And for the first time in my life, it's like I believe in creationism or something, and I'm like, no, like there was a master plan and it was designed this way. But no, so that's a Biden, and the Biden dropout kind of was a domino, led to a domino effect of all sorts of crazy things happening. But before that was the announcement of JD Vance, and I know you've got a lot to say about him.
Oh yeah, that was a wild decision for Trump to pick as a VP. Yeah, so JD Vance, I don't know. Have you seen his Netflix movie Hillbilly Elegy?
No, but was it a book as well, or was it just a
Yeah,
movie?
it was
Okay.
a book that got adapted into a movie for Netflix.
I didn't
Um,
watch the movie, but I did see somebody give a review of the book that was basically like, if I were to sum up the entire book, it's JD Vance talking about how he's always been an outcast. He's always been like treated poorly by the people around him. He was a black sheep of his family. Nobody liked him at school. He went and he joined the Marines. Nobody liked him in the Marines. And it's like at the end of the day, buddy, you are the common denominator in this situation here. Maybe it's just that you're a creep and that you're kind of weird and people just don't like you. Like it's not the people, it's you.
yeah, so I mean, speaking of people liking him or disliking him, like so Trump plays to the lowest common denominator in the first
Mm-hmm.
place, right? That's kind of his thing. Uh, for some reason, Rust Belt people in Appalachia, for the most part, is pro Trump because I don't even know why, but he needs to appeal to these people. And this guy, Jizz Drinker Vance, wrote this book, Hillbilly Elegy. It's about how even though he mostly grew up in Ohio, he had some relatives in Kentucky, and he spent a couple summers there, and about how everyone there is such a sister fucking piece of shit moron that like none of them are capable of ever becoming important like him and going to Yale. And it's also about how he's such a terrible son that his mom got addicted to heroin, or at least I think that's why she did it. Like the movie never really gets into the mental health resources side of the issue or the socioeconomic reasons why people might get addicted to heroin in the first place. Just his mom is a terrible person who he hates, and he actively tries to like sabotage her at every chance he gets. And there's rowdy hillbillies everywhere who he's better than. So that's why he's even like relevant in the first place, like why
Mm-hmm.
he was even on Trump's radar, because he's gone on to be just like an investment capitalist for a Silicon Valley dude named Peter Thiel, who's gay, might I add,
Mm-hmm.
like it, and he's completely like glued himself to the identity of online right wing bro kind of dude. Um, but because there's money on the line, like both him and Peter Thiel have gone like violently anti-gay and anti-trans, which it I will never understand like the gays for Trump movement or the blacks for Trump movement. I mean, during Nazi Germany, there were Jewish people who were cops for the ghetto that helped push families onto the trains and eventually ended up in the camps themselves. Like, it's just weird to see it in real life. Like, you could like be against your own self interest, but it is a wild thing to be. Um, JD Vance himself has said like back in 2016, I think it was. He's famously like said publicly, Trump will be America's Hitler,
Oh
and
yeah, he called him like he equated him to heroin. He called him like an opioid essentially, which is
yeah,
crazy considering where what he represents and where he comes from.
yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, he hates his fucking mom though. Um,
Yeah.
And you would think that he hates Hitler too, but I don't know. I think JD, if he probably has like JD from Scrubs style flashbacks and like daydreams where he looks up to the side and like just imagines things. I think like right after he said this Trump is Hitler thing, he probably had one of those and saw Donald Trump standing in front of a podium saying shit like "Der Juden ist vermin and we must eradicate them." Meanwhile, he himself is like behind the podium sucking Trump's dick. Like,
Mm-hmm.
is the only way I could like reconcile these wild things that he's already said about Trump. Uh, but Trump does have like it's not entirely off character for him to pick someone that called him Hitler. Like he does have a habit of like putting these guys like everyone in the Republican Party who's ever said anything negative against them through like these ritual humiliations where like fucking what's his name? Uh shit, who's that senator? The one with the girl name. Do you know who I'm talking about? I'm drawing a
Chris
blank right now.
Christie?
No, but he
Oh
also
wait,
has
no,
a
he
girl
wasn't a
name.
senator.
Yeah, he was a governor.
Yeah,
That Southern guy.
can't
He
think of who
used to
you're
be
thinking of.
best friends. He used to be best friends with John McCain, and then once John McCain died, like he went full radical MAGA. But everyone kind of always assumes that he's gay. Who am I talking about?
Uh, let me see. Senator with girl name. I looked. I googled it. Oh wait, it's trying to search senator with girl Bane.
With girl
Uh,
Bane.
yeah. I don't know. John McCain.
Oh my god, I'm ruining the whole episode right now.
Yeah. Anyway, go ahead and move on.
Anyway, uh,
So
Jesus, that is gonna fucking drive me nuts. But
that's okay.
like
That's
he,
okay. We'll get back to it. Let's talk a little bit more about JD Vance. I think JD Vance is the best thing to happen to the Democratic ticket. He is slowly but surely alienating any ounce of support other than like you have like your MAGA extremists who are going to vote for Trump no matter what happens, but then you have this subset of people who are like, well, fuck the Democrats. Maybe I'll go ahead and I'll vote for Trump, or maybe I'm kind of in the center and like I'm leaning one way or another. But to go up and to say things like single childless cat ladies are destroying the world, you've just pissed off every single Taylor Swift fan in the entire country. And there are more of them than there are probably MAGA extremists. Like that alone is going to swing the vote.
and
It,
like completely just committed to the bit of yeah, no, we are trying to turn this country into Gilead. Like that
yeah,
is
yeah.
definitely Lindsey Graham is who I was talking about.
Oh,
Jesus Christ.
okay.
Yeah, Lindsey Graham also used to be anti-Trump. Now he
it,
sucks his dick every single day, and Trump is all about that humiliation ritual.
it's interesting to me because like Vance will go up and he'll say things like, I believe that people who have like families with children should pay a lower tax rate. And it's like, on one hand, that already exists because of federal child tax credits. Like, that's already a thing. But then he
Yeah,
follows it up with, like, because fuck you people who don't have kids, you're ruining the world. Like, you're taking something that's already popular and that people like and that you can maybe expand on and do some good with. And then you're just butt fucking your entire campaign by spewing the hatred that MAGA is known for.
speaking of butt fucking, JD Vance does have some interesting proclivities that have just come out in the last
Mm-hmm.
week. That, like, I've got to say, the couch thing is obviously in like just an obvious shit post,
Yeah.
and it is funny to say, but the dolphin thing, that guy really brought it entirely on himself, looking up dolphin porn and sharing a fucking screenshot of it. And I think it's 1,000% our civic duty to harass anyone you see in public wearing a MAGA hat and ask them why they think that bestiality is okay. Like, I thought that those people were at least about family values. But yeah, no, very very silly man. And for some reason, he did his tight five stand up bit like to just fucking crickets about Mountain Dew being woke or being gay or what was it that he said? Oh no, he
Yeah,
said that drinking Diet Mountain Dew is
was
racist.
racist. Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Did you see the I can't remember what governor it was. It was somebody who's being vetted for Kamala Harris's potential VP pick, but he like totally did a bit in response to that. Like
mhm.
I don't believe, and like I love the tie-in. He pulls out the Mountain Dew and he's like, I know that fucking such and such soda is the official state drink, but I don't think the government should tell you what choices to make. And I'm like, fuck, that's how the Democrats win.
And that's such a weird point for him to bring up, like this close after the whole fucking Bud Light meltdown that they had. Like they literally whipped like the dumbest people up into a frenzy to the point where they were like literally just taking cases of Bud Light in the store and smashing it on the ground. Like, do you really want to fucking bring up like the politicization of drinks and how silly it is at this point in time? Like, give it another decade and maybe.
Yeah.
But like I don't know, with that just so fresh in everyone's memory that, and it didn't even land too. There were like three people in this crowd of people that he was talking to that went, oh
With the
god,
guy like completely dead asleep behind him.
oh yeah,
You're talking about
yeah,
the JD Vance bit. So yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah. It basically came across like Patrick Starr, like going, "Can we say shoes from Texas are dumb?" Democrats think it's racist to drink this. I mean, it is a toxic fucking drink. I mean, only radioactive fucking sludge from a power plant could turn a drink that color. But to politicize it like that and like I don't know, that's like the weirdest straw man I've ever heard from their side. I say
But
the weirdest. There's really weird ones all the time, but it's up there.
it's just a continual saga with weird, and then it gets progressively weirder, or maybe our timeline's a little skewed. I'm not sure because this last month has really been a blur. You have JD Vance, and then maybe JD Vance came after this, but we witnessed an attempted assassination and almost successful. And I'm going to preface this by saying supposedly. I don't know. There's like a whole bunch of weird conspiracy theories because why wouldn't there be a whole bunch of weird conspiracy theories about something like this? But we almost watched Donald Trump get got.
Yeah. And how humiliating is it for him that not even an assassination attempt could like help him in the polls? Like those have basically stagnated. The people that like Trump and will for sure vote for him, I mean, they're already there, and he hasn't really
Mhm.
gained a whole lot of support in light of that. Um, so now that we don't have to worry about Biden just like throwing away any chance of us not becoming a dictatorship just to massage his ego a little bit, we could get back into what really matters, and that's making fun of Trump's diaper wearing fat ass. And I'm here for it. Uh, After the assassination attempt, it was pretty funny to me anyways how like the mainstream like left-wing media like the MSNBCs and even CNN to some degree still like literally every anchor and pundit like on every show that they have throughout their 24-hour news cycle like all did the obligatory like we need to be turning down the temperature and maybe it was us that convinced like no it wasn't
Mhm.
you guys have been so vanilla on the subject
Mhm.
like we all know that he's Hitler and you guys will just like whisper it like it's kind of Hitler-esque if you ask me but and like after that assassination attempt, they were like on their knees, like we're sorry, we did like no, he's Hitler. Like I don't know about you, Joey. Like in the baby Hitler paradox, you know, the whole time travel, if you could go back, would you kill baby Hitler?
Oh yeah,
I like, yeah, a lot of people are opposed to killing a baby, and rightfully so, but he is Hitler after all. And I don't know, like, there, there's a vast ocean between condemning political violence and condoning something like that. That
sure.
I feel like the messaging should have probably been, well, I mean, you are literally threatening genocide. So, what are we doing? Like, obviously. And the funny thing is that wasn't even a leftist who did it. It was
Oh yeah, it was one of
like,
their own.
apparently, according to Trump's own campaign people, he was like in the top three most likely Trump voters. Like in his district,
Like his demographic.
and like his phrenology
Yeah,
like absolutely supports that. I mean, he's got like the Habsburg jaw to here and like a skullet, and had Trump signs on his lawn since 2015. Like, yeah, he was definitely a Trump guy for sure. But apparently, he wasn't like. I mean, he was a crazy guy, but he wasn't like a crazy MAGA guy,
yeah.
because he was equally as willing to shoot at Joe Biden as well. But Trump just happened to be coming through Pennsylvania, so he's like, well, I mean, he's basically just he fits the exact profile of like every American school shooter.
Yeah,
And I don't know, maybe this is a hopeful thing. Like, maybe instead of shooting schools, they'll shoot at evil, powerful people going forward, like people who kind of have it coming. Uh, maybe.
maybe.
But I mean, he could have equal just as easily just gone to a school, and he was the
Sure.
type to do that. Like, yeah, the quiet weird guy that had a bunch of like pro Trump paraphernalia around his house. Like, yeah, I don't know. He fits like 80% of the profile of that of every other school shooter. But
It's
yeah,
it's interesting like how much has changed even just like since that, right? Like I guess that's kind of the event that kickstarted all of this weird like alternate reality that we live in. I remember after that happened, you and I were like, well fuck, like he is going to win now. Like that image of him like yelling fight or whatever, like regardless of your beliefs, like your hate towards him, that's a powerful image. And I really
well,
thought that that was going to spur momentum his way, and it's been the exact opposite since the announcement of Kamala Harris.
and honestly, I only thought that it was going to help him for the first few hours after that happened, and like no information came out, just that it happened, and that the guy got shot immediately. But then like later on, it was that same very night, like because you and I went to that ball game, and like later on that night, after we were both like long since home, like then it came out, oh no, he was a MAGA guy. So
Mm-hmm.
we don't need to be apologetic. I mean, of course, MSNBC still apologized profusely for it for some reason, but yeah, that definitely changed the trajectory of it too. And
Mm-hmm.
Kamala coming in, it's like they went from being resigned to we're just gonna lose this thing and America is over, but we need to pretend like it's not over. And it would have been their fault if they hadn't replaced Biden with Kamala. Like, it would have been entirely all of the Democrats' faults for that. Um, but they decided, oh, wait, no, we are the government and we are powerful people.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't we use this power and like not end up in concentration camps? And they
Yeah,
did. And
and
look
they
where
did.
we are now. Like, we're most likely going to win this thing, and we could still be America for at least another 4 years,
And
hopefully.
and the fashion that we're doing it, like the way that we are winning this thing right now, is what I think you and I have been saying needed to be done for a long time now. Like the Democratic Party needed to fight fire with fire, right? Like they are finally combating Trump with pettiness, with clever wittiness, with social media antics. I sent you that meme that was like the official Harris Twitter account retweeted a quote from JD Vance saying, and they were like, he can't couch his hatred for women. Like, that is the shit that they needed to be doing this entire time because that's getting young people hyped. I haven't seen Gen Z and millennials this excited for a vote like since ever. The historic fundraising that's happened, the fact that the villages in Florida are openly rallying for Kamala Harris, a black Asian woman on the Democratic ticket, is insane.
Yeah.
I read an interesting article, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to talk over you, but I read an interesting article, and I'll send it to you. But it was like, and maybe it was Pete Buttigieg who was mentioning this, but someone was saying like this shift might start to be the end to like breaking MAGA fever. Like we might finally be at a
Oh
place
yeah.
where we can push this aside and we can break that fever and we can get back to being a real country that conducts politics in a real way again.
And we were already kind of like on the verge of that. I mean,
Mm,
if you've noticed, I mean, we both live in Rio Rancho, such a red fucking city in the middle of deep blue New Mexico. I have seen like not even a tiny fraction of the MAGA shit, the flags
oh
on
yeah.
trucks, the hats in public, because they finally caught on that, oh, like this is actually a really embarrassing thing to be a part of. And now
Mm-hmm.
it's just the last vestiges of it. The fake true believers like fucking JD Vance and of course Trump, who's the big papa of the movement, like people have kind of like laid back on the in your face.
Yeah.
We're gonna taste your tears, liberals, and that to me is why it was so infuriating that we were still on a path to losing. Like, despite the fact that MAGA fever isn't so hot anymore,
Mm-hmm.
like like you've seen that movie Kung Pao Enter the Fist, right? That
Mm-hmm.
silly like kung fu movie.
Yeah.
Reminds me of that scene where that old man's fighting the guy with like the claws on the chains, and
Yeah.
he throws one at it, and it pauses like right before it hits him in the face, and he's like, "Okay, so here were my options: dodge the claw and take him out with the spinning flying back kick, or B, take the claw to the face and roll around and die." And then he takes the claw to the face and rolls around and dies, and he's like, "Damn, I should have gone with option A." Like, that is entirely like what we were doing, and like
Sure. Yeah.
it that should not be the case. Like
Yeah.
everyone knows who Trump is, everyone knows he wears diapers, and everyone knows now for sure, for a fact, like the details of his name being listed in the Epstein files. Like there's
Mm-hmm.
a detailed account of him raping a 13-year-old. And, and all we could talk about was fucking Biden remaining in the race, and rightfully so. Like he should have fucking backed out. Like we could have used that momentum with all of the factors why we already should win. Like
Yeah.
the Democratic Party, like the platform is at least popular. Just apparently it's run by incompetent morons for the most part. But Nancy finally did the right thing, and she threatened Biden that if he didn't send the letter that he was stepping down the day that he did, he was going straight to the Purina factory. Uh,
Oh yeah. They were
and
gonna
it
they were gonna
worked.
oh yeller him for sure.
Oh, absolutely. He was gonna. I mean, part of him would have become like Elmer's school glue, and the rest would have been dry dog cereal. Uh, but it worked. It worked, and now we're back on track. And now it's actually time to care about shit again because the people in charge finally do. Like,
Well, well said. now that politics are back on track, Friends Are Weird can get back on track, and we can get back to doing what we love and giving our viewers, all 8 of you, something fresh and fun each and every other week. And I'm so happy. We were in a very dark time for a little bit, and I think there's finally hope yet again.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So yeah, we'll return to our regular scheduled programming. Uh, if if for whatever reason the messenger crows where I get all of my news don't show up, we'll still do a show, and we'll just have to make shit up.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. We could talk about that eruption in Yellowstone, which is only the second largest eruption, second only to the eruption in my pants that happened when we finally announced that Kamala Harris would be taking over the Democratic ticket. Because boy, howdy, am I excited! I've set up my reoccurring
Boy,
donations.
howdy.
I encourage all of you to set up your reoccurring donations. Let's do this. We are not going back.
Hell yeah, brother.
Hell yeah, brother. Well, Stone, anything else you got for the people?
That's it for me. I just had some things to get off my chest. I'm really glad that we did this, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad we didn't explode into a screaming match like we did last time we tried this.
Well,
It was
I'm
fun and cathartic.
I'm glad too, and I'm glad you got some things off your chest. And if you play your cards right later tonight, I'll get some things on your chest. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your evening. Thank you. We love you. This has been Friends Are Weird. We're out.
Love you. Bye bye.
Bye.
Cool.